You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, so much for tuning in. Well, today is a dark day in American history. This is the third indictment, arraignment, arrest of President Trump. No mugshot today. We'll talk about this as the show goes on, but there was, this was really, it's an interesting thing. When you got to watch these news breaking events like this in real time, if you can. Not the edited versions later on in the day when the media edit things up and present to you what they want you to know and think. You got to watch these things in real time so you get all the information. And I picked up something during this little press conference that President Trump's attorney had today in front of the courthouse. And a reporter who, he has an English accent. I don't know if he was a Fox News reporter or a Newsmax reporter. I've seen this guy. And he was talking to Alba, right? President Trump's attorney, Alba, who was wearing like a cocktail dress at the press conference today. And he was talking about the co-conspirators that have been named in this Trump indictment, like Giuliani and, Sidney Powell. He said Jenna Ellis is not among them. And I heard somebody else mention Jenna Ellis too today. And of course, what they're suggesting by that is, has Jenna Ellis turned on Trump? Jenna Ellis has been all over Twitter the last few weeks doing nothing but promoting Ron DeSantis. So she's turned her back on Trump long ago. And then after these questions about her came out on this Alba press conference today, why she's not named, implying that she's a cooperating witness against Trump in this, working for the government. I went to her Twitter and she didn't say anything about it. And Jenna Ellis is on Twitter constantly. I promise you, if she wasn't watching it live, she heard about it in progress because everybody she knew that saw it texted her, and she didn't comment on it. Like, there wasn't a denial. Now, that's very strange for her. Yeah, you would think, because she lives on Twitter like no one else. She's on Twitter more than anyone. It's like she hasn't. So I think that's a very interesting thing. And it makes me wonder if Jenna Ellis was another one of these plants inside President Trump's inner circle that was put under, sent to him, and he hired her.
That's what I think.
And her whole, like Jeff Sessions, like Mike Pence, and her whole mission was to undermine Trump, gather information, and set him up for down the road.
I think one of Trump's biggest Achilles heels is that he's very trusting, and he sees the good in people. And I think a lot of people have been sent in to his inner circle through different channels to sabotage him. And I think January 6th had something to do with that. That was somebody's idea. I think the way he handled things after the election, somebody put those ideas in his head. Like he said in this, it was his lawyers, and what lawyers and why? Why aren't they, and Jen Ellis was one of his lawyers then. She was on TV constantly. Now, they did mention Sidney Powell. So I think he is led in the wrong direction. He has got to have so many people talking in his ear all day long with advice. So many lawyers and other people, family members. It's hard sometimes to know who to trust and to know what to do. And even if you are as smart as Trump, I can imagine sometimes his head is spinning, and he might go home to Melania and be like, the decisions he's making are so crucial. And this is what I think is going to happen. And Jonathan Turley, who I really respect, had said, I saw this on Twitter, Jack Posobiec or somebody tweeted it, that Jonathan Turley, who's a legal expert he's always on Fox News, he said the best thing for Trump to do is to let these hearings happen as quickly as possible, to not put them off, and to get it to the Supreme Court as fast as possible, possibly before the election. And I think that's great advice, because I think that out of all of these court cases, one of them's going to stick to the wall. Okay, they're indicting him on too many things, and there's too many. The one judge in Fort Pierce, I'm not concerned about, but this one in D.C., I am concerned about. D.C. voted 92% for Biden. I mean, you think he's going to get a fair trial? No. This is probably going to end up in a conviction of some kind for him. And it will go to the Supreme Court, and it will get overturned. I can promise you that. And I think Trump knows that. And I think Trump welcomes that to happen, to be vindicated. He will be vindicated. No, Turley, it's just a matter of time.
I disagree.
You don't agree with Turley?
No, I disagree with Turley. Because
you want to drag it out?
Well, yeah, because they're going to have thousands of documents in the prosecution against him. And if they go through it and they miss something, they could screw up. And a screw up like that, if you push it through, is very well is not an appealable event. No. I think that's terrible advice.
But do you think he can get, no matter how much time he has, do you think Trump can really get a fair trial here?
No president can get a fair trial because all the half the country hate whoever the president is.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: this is a very sad day that this is happening. And back in the locker up days, a lot of people got upset with me. I said, "You do not want to arrest Hillary Clinton and send her." I said, "If you start arresting presidential candidates and first ladies and president." It sets a precedent. And then the next thing you know, they're going to try to arrest Trump and they're going to try to arrest Melania. And here we are. And you could see the dangers of this. And what's so scary to me is how monstrous Democrats are. How they're just monsters. They think it is perfectly acceptable to put someone in prison who's a president, who's running for president again, who's the front runner, who's even beating the sitting president because they don't agree with him politically. Democrats think it is perfectly fine to arrest someone as a political means to try to defeat them in the next election. Yep. And they're so short-sighted. You know, Democrats, I'm not talking about the elected officials because they're like Biden. They're just grifters who are, bought and paid for by special interest and donors and stuff. I'm talking when I talk about Democrats, I'm talking about the media and regular people that are Democrats. Democrats are consumed with hate. They just hate. They don't stand for anything. They're just against things. And they don't even know why they hate. I had a call from a Democrat this morning on the morning show, and he started talking to me, but he was just in a rage about January 6th. And I'm like, well, why did you not like him before that, though? Right. You keep talking about January 6th. You hated Trump before that. Right. And he really just couldn't articulate it. And you might have heard that call. The Democrats just hate. And I'll tell you, Donald Trump is not going to be the last president to get indicted and arrested and sent up the river. This is going to become a new normal thing in this country. And I'll say that there was a story that over the last couple of days, the Fox News top executives went to Bedminster to beg Trump to do the debate. And I've been flipping through all the cable news today, okay? CNN, MSNBC, Newsmax, and Fox. When there's a major breaking news story like this, you got to watch everything to see what's going on from different angles because this is a live news event. You want to see it live, and people have cameras and microphones in different places. And like I had it on CNN, and they did not have this Alba press conference on. They may have carried it later, but they didn't have it live when I turned over there, and I wanted to see it live, and I'm glad I did. I flipped over to Fox, and I got to see it. Because I would not have gotten that little bit about Jenna Ellis if I had not flipped over there. So when there's a live breaking crisis event like this, you can lift the Fox ban temporarily, okay? I don't want you to think I'm back on Fox. I'm not. However, I noticed something about Fox, okay? They had Dana Perino on, Cavuto, Martha McCallum, and who's the one that looks like a Sunday school teacher that does the Sunday show? The girl, Shannon Breen. And they are on air sucking up to Trump like I've never seen. They're so desperate to have Trump on this Fox News debate. They've sent their executives to beg him. They've got Cavuto and Perino kissing up to him and everything on air I hope Trump does not do the Fox News debate. That is a mistake. He does not need to do it.
And I know you posed this question in the show today. And Trump's a deal maker. and you had asked the audience if Trump agreed to do the debates, if and only if they put in writing that they would air all of his rallies.
Yeah.
Then I think he should. I think that's definitely worth it for him for one night of his life. And they're going to insult him whether he's there or not. But at least if he's there, he can, say something or fight back.
I don't think it's worth it.
But
it's a trap.
For him to go for one night and do a debate, for Fox to agree to air all of his rallies through the election, I don't know. I think that might be a good trade-off. Well, I mean, you don't think that would be worth it?
No, because Rabbi David called me. He made a good point. He says because of equal time rules, if Fox agreed to air all the Trump rallies, they'd have to air all of the speeches of all these loser candidates.
So do it. So do it. Nobody's going to watch them, and they'll drop off one by one very quickly, and Trump will be the last man standing.
I don't know.
How it worked before.
I don't know if they can agree to do that, but I think going on this. So going on this Fox News debate is a trap. It's really a trap to try to elevate somebody else, like I don't know who, DeSantis or something.
It's not going to happen.
No, but it's still a mistake. I want to say another thing too. I noticed before I forget. All these DC cops that are at the courthouse in DC today, they are the most unprofessional looking police officers I have ever seen. You know that guy that had the neck tattoo? He was a DC cop. These guys, I'm watching these cops. None of their uniforms fit properly. Mm-hmm. Their pants are too long. One guy was wearing shorts and no socks. They are just a ragtag group of losers.
They have so many cops here, and I don't see any protesters at all in this one area.
No, and they're wearing bicycle helmets. And they're not even bicycles.
Dozens and dozens of police.
A police officer should have a uniform that fits. They're not clean shaven. They look like a gang. They look like people that are dressed up on Halloween to be police officers.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're not real cops.
So the guy with the neck tattoo, which I thought looked so unprofessional, he's kind of like the norm in these DC cops. And I'll tell you, the DC police, they should have a little more respect in their appearance, their uniforms, being shaven, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you why, because they're the police force of the nation's capital. But, here's the reason I bring this up. This is what you're dealing with when you're talking about the bureaucracy in Washington that's against Trump. These cops in D.C. are part of the bureaucracy, even though they're at lower level in D.C., and there's just no respect for this country, no respect for the institutions, no respect to look good because you're representing our capital city or our country. These cops are probably 99.99% Democrats. It's D.C. The bureaucracy are Democrats. And they just it's disrespectful to the country for these cops to look at it. Now, they didn't get the mugshot today, and they gave an explanation, the court. The court said that mugshots are only for people where they need a photo if they run, and Donald Trump is the most recognizable person in the world, so they don't need the mugshot. And he's not going in front of the main judge today that's overseeing the case. It's a magistrate. Like in Miami, the main judge didn't see it. And this judge should recuse herself, not just because she was appointed by Barack Obama. She worked, before she was a judge, she worked at a law firm, and it was the same law firm that Hunter worked for, and they worked at the law firm at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you mean to tell me, out of all the judges with the federal court system, in D.C. alone, they can't find a federal judge that didn't work alongside Hunter Biden at a law firm? Are you kidding me?
I'm just shocked Hunter even had a job.
Well, I doubt it was like real lawyer work he was doing. Yeah. Oh, also, their Project Veritas, first time I've watched Project Veritas since James O'Keefe was thrown out. I'm not going to go through all of it. You guys can go watch it. They dropped a new video today about the Ashley Biden diary. And what they went through, including Ashley Biden calling them. And it is amazing. And you can really see that even at her level, how thuggish the Biden family are. So wait till after the podcast is over. But after the podcast,
they're untouchable.
They
really are.
Yeah, go to Project Veritas on YouTube and watch their video with Ashley Biden in it about the diary. The way she behaved is so typical of this family. Now, Now, this indictment of Trump and everything else, I know people say the cases have no merit. These people do not care. And I know we hope that the Supreme Court will do the right thing. It's a Trump Supreme Court. We've got not just a Republican majority, but we got a Republican majority that are like real Republicans, right? They overturned Roe v. Wade. They ended affirmative action. So they're like true constitutionalists. And the difference between a judge that's a constitutionalist and a liberal judge is true constitutionalist judges that are conservative. They make decisions based on what the Constitution says, not what they feel, as activist judges do. So there are so many things that they can go to the court for, the Supreme Court, to get all of these things tossed. Number one, you can't get a fair trial in a justice system where the judges are appointed by presidents when you're a president. I mean, right there, you can't get a jury that's truly non-biased when you're talking about a man who was This isn't like some third-party candidate for like the Prohibition Party or the Green Party that no one ever heard of. This guy was president of the United States. He will be again. And then Trump posted on Truth today that he's what did he say, Kathy? He's one more indictment away.
One more indictment, and he's got the election.
Yeah.
He's going to win. I think he's going to win anyway. I don't think he needs any more.
Well, I'll say, I don't know we don't know the answers to this because this has been speculated on. We don't know what exclusivity agreement President Trump has with Truth Social. The one thing that I would recommend President Trump do, he's very smart. He doesn't need my advice, but so I would not dare give him advice to personally, but I think he should be on Twitter. The reason he needs to be on Twitter is so that he can get his message out directly to hundreds of millions of people worldwide. He's not reaching enough people on Truth Social to get his message out. I mean, look at how many views Tucker Carlson is getting on his Tucker on Twitter show. Over 100 million, views. And Donald Trump would have more views than Tucker Carlson does on Twitter. He really needs to get on Twitter, not just with tweets, but with videos and everything like Tucker, and get his. Don't you think, Kathy?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
He really does. I mean, this is some serious business we're in, and his position is being filtered through the corporate mainstream media that hate him, and that's not enough. Now, we got a bit of an update on Patreon. Okay, those of you that are Patreon supporters, Patreon updated their website recently. They've been doing a lot of updates, and in the past, the Patreon website's been a little dated, almost like a 1990s website in some ways, for those of us that use the site, and they've made some major updates, and they've added some features, one in particular, which is super cool, where I could make, and Kathy too, we could make videos and upload them to Patreon, which did not exist before. And Kathy and I have been uploading quite a few videos. I've been doing some behind-the-scenes videos of what's going on and messages throughout the day. And I made a video really early this morning before I left the house to go to the radio station. So those of you that are Patreon supporters, check in on all of that, okay? And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, please do. There's a link in the episode description, and there's a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com, to become a Patreon supporter. And this is a new feature that I'm using quite a bit. Kathy's using it as well. And it's really elevated, I think, the Patreon experience for those of you that are Patreon supporters. And, of course, Patreon supporters also have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So I'm going to go through a list of names. These are the names you're about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Richard, and Melissa. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Don't go anywhere. We've only just begun. There's so much more to cover. We'll be back right after this. Have you thought about starting your own business? Maybe you're already in business and looking for a new opportunity. Then order your copy of How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, available online at theinterlockbook.com. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this ebook offers invaluable insights and methods to ensure your ignition interlock business flourishes by prioritizing public safety with various ignition interlock services. With How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, you'll learn how to find the right ignition interlock partners, how to decide on the best business model, and understand various types of services. You'll discover how to analyze potential service center locations, how to streamline business operations, and how to navigate the process of applying for the right business licenses. This downloadable ebook is packed with exclusive, indispensable information you will not find anywhere else. Don't wait any longer. Take advantage of the opportunity and order your copy right now. How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, online at theinterlockbook.com. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can take advantage of this opportunity too. theinterlockbook.com. Calling all young adventurers and curious minds. Get ready for a learning experience like no other with Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee. Available now on Amazon. Learning is an exciting journey, and this book will take you on new adventures filled with fun facts and quizzes at the end of each section. Quizzes aren't just for school. They challenge your comprehension skills and help you retain essential knowledge throughout your academic years. With this fun book, you'll discover amazing animals, volcanoes, different types of weather, and more. Plus, discover the fascinating stories of former U.S. presidents and the world of sports. This book is just the beginning of your learning quest. Stay curious and open-minded to find the fun in all information. Grab your copy now and begin an educational adventure the whole family will enjoy together. Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee, where learning becomes a thrilling experience. Available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon. Order your copy right now. The new book from author William Thien is now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip. In The Dream Chip, meet David O'Rourke, an intelligence agent turned uploader for the TimeLink Corporation, a futuristic technology company. His mission? Capture the thoughts and memories of the deceased and store them in the Will of Memories, a protected vault of supercomputers. But there's more to the TimeLink Corporation than meets the eye. They're also the creator of the Common Council software program, which empowers citizens to have a say in government decisions. This revolutionary system threatens the power of a group known as the Civocrats, who are determined to maintain their control at any cost. As tensions rise, their leader organizes a mob to attack the TimeLink Corporation. The fate of the future is hanging in the balance. The Dream Chip takes you on an adventure filled with technology, political intrigue, and the power of human memory. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip from author William Thien, and uncover the secrets that lie within. Have you dreamed of starting a successful online business but didn't know how or even where to begin? If you're ready to turn your dreams of a successful online business into reality, look no further. Introducing How to Start an Online Business, your ultimate guide to navigating the exciting world of online commerce. This comprehensive resource is designed to equip aspiring entrepreneurs just like you with the knowledge, tools, and strategies needed to launch and grow your digital venture. From idea to successful launch, How to Start an Online Business provides step-by-step guidance and valuable insights at every stage of your entrepreneurial journey. It's packed with actionable tips, real-life case studies, and expert advice from successful online entrepreneurs. How to Start an Online Business is more than just theory. It's a practical resource that empowers you to make informed decisions and overcome obstacles. No matter your background or experience level, this book can help you harness the power of the internet and create your digital empire. Visit etechecommerce.com/opt-in for a free video and ebook on how to start an online business. etechecommerce.com/opt-in and begin your journey to online entrepreneurship. etechecommerce.com/opt-in.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. So let me go through this. This is a description of President Trump as he went to the courthouse today. This is in the Daily Mail. The defiant former president vented on Truth Social about facing his third arraignment and indictment in less than 6 months, while the Biden family was stealing millions in alleged bribes from foreign countries. They're not alleged bribes. They got the bank accounts. I mean, come on. The 2024 presidential frontrunner referenced the bombshell testimony from Devin Archer. Trump said, I'm being arrested for you, and claimed one more indictment would confirm his 2024 win in a slew of messages as Trump Force One passed the Washington Monument before touching down at Reagan National Airport. I'm being arrested for you. I've been talking about this a lot, and I hope people appreciate this. See, President Trump, I consider him to be a civil rights leader. Like Martin Luther King led people to freedom, right? Led people to freedom who were being oppressed by Democrats and with the Jim Crow, with the segregation and all that. Donald Trump is leading the American people to freedom. See, I don't know, maybe it's always been this way, but we weren't so aware of it, or maybe it's only been this way since the end of World War II.
He's the first person he's the first interloper.
But yeah.
He's the first outsider. So I think there's always been corruption. But this shows you how they behave when an outsider to them is a real threat.
Well, we are not, at this moment in time, a free country because of these arrests of Donald Trump. And what Donald Trump is doing is standing up against these tyrants, leading the American people to freedom against this minority government in Washington, mostly of unelected people, right? Like Merrick Garland and the special counsel. And I would say he's an exact parallel between Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela. And, Nelson Mandela, he was locked up in prison because he was leading a revolt against the establishment there. Remember, whites were a minority, still are, in South Africa. Mm-hmm. He was leading a political movement against the white minority government that was oppressing the majority of the people, so they put him in prison for 20 years to try to stop him. He got out, and he almost immediately became the president of South Africa. He was in prison because of politics. Yeah. And that's what's going on with Trump. So there is no question in my mind that Donald Trump is. I know we always say that Lincoln and Washington were the greatest presidents, but Donald Trump is even greater than them in so many ways. George Washington set the whole thing up, so I mean it's hard to take that away. And of course, Lincoln freed the slaves, and these are all big things. But the oppression that's going on in this country from the federal government is at a level that I don't think anyone ever imagined, Kathy. And you see how they're doing this to Trump. They're not even trying to hide what they're doing.
Well, no, because they're just desperate.
They're like caged animals.
Yeah,
because
they're just desperate.
They're losing their grip on the power over the country, and they've gotten out of control. And however this ends up, in the end, we're going to win this. And because President Trump has started a movement, and after his second term, and he's going to be like 84 years old. There will be others who come along. I mean, there's never going to be another Trump. All right, Trump's the greatest. So there's never going to be another Donald Trump. But he has started a whole movement that is not going to end with him.
Well, if you don't think that the deep state exists, all you have to do is watch the news and the talking heads, and you hear them say, we're not going to let Trump win. We're not going. I never hear them talk about the will of the people. All they talk about is how they're going to prevent him from winning, how they're going to stop it. You know what I mean? That's proof to me right there that they are the ones in control of who's in and who's out.
Yeah.
And I think Trump slipped through their little system there. And I really remember when Bill Clinton was jumping up and down like a schoolgirl, they thought Hillary had it locked. And they really underestimated Trump, and they did not put all their things in place to ensure a win for her. And they let that slip. and because they underestimated him. They really did, and they ignored all the signs and the rallies and everything. They just didn't want to believe that this guy could do it. And I'm sure behind closed doors, they kept saying, he's not going to win. Don't worry about it. It's never going to happen. And he won. And they have lost their minds ever since. But the deep state is in control, because I never hear anybody from Washington go on TV and say, well, if the people want him elected, that's their choice. It's our decision. It's the will of the people that's supposed to decide our leaders, not the deep state who they decide to crown as the leader. But that's how they treat this. And that's how they're looking at this. We don't matter to them. They think less of us. We're just useful idiots to these people that are in positions of power. And they just will do whatever they can to prevent Trump from winning again. And they're freaking out because he's getting more and more popular. And, I don't know when now they're going to indict him again in Georgia. It's coming up. And the sheriff there said they're going to get the mugshot. They're going to get that mugshot. He said, well, we'll see. But, part of me almost hopes they do. It'll be the most famous photograph, I think, in modern history, for sure. And I think if they get that mugshot, I think Trump will look like what he is, a political prisoner. And I think that mugshot will really put a visual for people.
Yeah.
To be like, wow, this is out of control.
Yeah.
Obviously, all people on the left, they're going to love it. Like Rob Reiner, Mark Hamill, Whoopi Goldberg, and all those crazy celebrities. Who cares? But I think most people will see that, and it'll be shocking to them. It'll be jarring.
Well, this
has just gone too damn far.
It's unfortunate. In federal court, there are no cameras. I think if people could see...
they need a visual might be good.
In the courtroom, these court artist sketches just don't do it. If people could see in real time... I know a lot of Democrats would just be cheering and think it was the greatest thing of all time. But I think it would be a lot more real to people to understand how serious things are. Now, a thing with Jack Smith, they said something about Jack Smith in this instance, too. They said he's sitting in the front row. What does that mean? Is he sitting at the prosecution's table or the front row of the audience? They said the same thing in Miami. And I wish they would think. I don't know. In Miami, they said he's sitting in the front row. They didn't say he's sitting at the prosecutor's table.
To me, that makes it seem like he's in the front row of the gallery. Not at the prosecution. So, then they would say he's at the prosecution. So
is he afraid? Is he intimidated by Trump?
No, but I don't know. Is he considered one of the prosecutors?
He's the lead.
So
he's the lead. He's the prosecutor. He's the special.
That's strange.
He may be at the prosecutor's table.
That's just the word they're using.
I've never heard the front row mentioned, and I follow a lot of court cases. But the other thing too is the left have been over the last couple of years been working to criminalize disagreeing speech. This country, we have so many conspiracy theories. Bigfoot, UFOs. What about the Loch Ness Monster, even though that's in Scotland? But you understand what I mean. There's always been the Kennedy assassination. There's always been conspiracy theories. And I'm not saying that President Trump is promoting conspiracy theories. And by the way, just because something's a conspiracy theory does not mean that it is not true. But you guys get my drift about the conspiracy theories. They're criminalizing speech that disagrees with them and their narrative, something that's a threat to their agenda. Already, Bernie Sanders is talking about charging people with crimes who spread misinformation about climate change.
Oh, this is what the left wants to do.
That's been their fantasy.
The scary thing about this is they keep saying on the news, this has never happened, and it's true. But what's going to happen is they're going to set a precedent now, because that's what the law is all about. You have lawyers arguing both sides all the time. But really, law cases are based on precedent, and once that is set, it's really hard to break from that. You know what I mean? So if they charge him with things for just speaking or saying things, that's such a high-profile case, and that's going to become a precedent for going after other people. And I wouldn't be surprised if Biden passes some executive order involving that. It's very dangerous what's happening. They keep saying on CNN, the whole thing is they keep saying on the news, the people on the left, that Trump's reason for what's happening is that he was given legal advice to challenge and that he could do this. And that's true, obviously. So,
But you know what,
so they're
Kathy?
saying that just because a lawyer gives you advice doesn't give you the right
That's crazy.
to do it.
First off,
it doesn't make it okay.
This is the thing, okay? Because they said some lawyers disagreed with what he was, some agreed.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's no precedent for this. That's the problem.
When people that are serial killers, okay, like there was a guy just arrested this week. I saw this on CNN earlier. They kidnapped a woman and put her in a self-made dungeon in his garage, and she escaped. He's been arrested.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That guy very well could plead not guilty. And his attorney is going to go to court, and he's going to make a whole case around a not guilty plea. This guy, the Long Island serial killer.
Yep.
Okay, that guy's going to get a lawyer if he pleads not guilty. Since when do I've never heard of attorneys being prosecuted because the prosecutors didn't like their legal advice. I've never heard of such a thing.
I know, it's crazy.
And it's a scary thing what's going on here because these aren't just bad cops that are misusing their law enforcement authority. What they're doing is they're eroding our entire system of justice. You know, a lot of times people have to lawyer shop. Not a lawyer. If you're in a case, it could be legal or civil. A lawyer is not obligated to represent you. Okay, you're guaranteed legal representation, but lawyers are not commanded to represent you. And like I had a friend who was an attorney, a defense attorney. He would represent murderers. He had no problem representing murderers, but he would not represent child molesters or rapists just because of his moral stand.
Yeah.
But there are people that make a whole living defending child molesters and rapists. And
like Hillary Clinton.
And there's an old saying, which there is some truth to it, that defense attorneys are accessories after the crime. You know what I mean? Like O.J. Simpson's lawyers.
Right.
O.J. Simpson clearly killed Ron and Nicole, but he had an entire team of the top lawyers in the country who said he didn't and had a whole legal. That's how our system works.
Well, if
let me finish. And this new thing that they're doing, where they're prosecuting attorneys, means that, first off, people like Donald Trump will not necessarily be able to get adequate counsel because a lot of attorneys will be afraid to take the case because they might get arrested. But lawyers, we're getting to this point now where lawyers are not may start to become afraid to give certain advice to their client's defense that may help a client in court because they're afraid that the prosecutors will come after them. Everything in American law is based on legal precedent. That's why you always hear these cases cited in case law all the time.
Exactly.
And when you are prosecuting attorneys because you don't like the advice that they gave their client, in particular in a civil suit, you know, this is a new area. It could go in criminal too, but this is an attack on our justice system, which is one of the main things the founding fathers wanted to change a lot of things from the English rule. But one of the things they wanted to do was change the legal system. You know, even in those of you that listen to us in the UK probably don't think too much about this, okay? But we have a thing in America called double jeopardy, which means that, for example, O.J. Simpson was acquitted of the murders of Ron and Nicole that I mentioned, right? He was acquitted. If O.J. went on TV today and said he did it, he cannot be charged with those crimes. Because once someone is acquitted of a crime, they cannot be charged with it again. In the UK, that's not the case. You can be acquitted time and time again, and then they get something, they can come after you. And what they're doing, Kathy, is eroding our legal system and our justice system in a way where people are not going to be able to get adequate defense from attorneys.
What they're trying to do is make it as if him and his lawyers were conspirators. And conspiring.
All attorneys are conspired to.
I think maybe there were conspirators, but they were conspiring to screw Trump over.
Well, who's Jack Smith conspiring with?
Well, exactly.
Merrick Garland and George Soros.
I think there were attorneys put in Trump's orbit that worked to. They were conspiring.
Well, I've got my eye on Jenna Ellis after that press conference today. I'm really looking hard, and I know a lot of people that had to ring a bell with a lot of people with that question about Jenna Ellis. Now, listen, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, it will be after President Trump gets on Trump Force One and after everything is ended today. So don't go anywhere. We're going to give our thoughts, our analysis, and our observations on that. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will be back right after this.
Parents, grandparents, and teachers, there's a heartwarming new children's book from author James Carey that you will want to add to your child's must-read list. Strong Evan, Evan and the Adventures of Diabetes, now available on Amazon. Join Evan, a young boy living with diabetes, as he embarks on a series of exciting adventures while learning to manage his condition. Evan refuses to let diabetes hold him back, and with the help of his continuous glucose monitor, insulin pump, and the support of his loving family, he lives life to the fullest. From playing soccer and swimming to climbing mountains and exploring the ocean, he shows that anything is possible when you have determination and a positive attitude. Throughout the book, Evan and his family cook healthy meals and engage in open conversation about managing diabetes. This book teaches valuable life lessons and will inspire young readers. Strong Evan is an engaging and educational story that empowers children to face challenges head on while promoting understanding and empathy for those living with diabetes. Order your copy of Strong Evan, Evan and the Adventures of Diabetes from author James Carey on Amazon right now, and give your child the gift of courage, confidence, and compassion with this wonderful children's book. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Are you ready for an inspiring tale of resilience and rebuilding? From author Ken Skelton comes the children's book After the Storm. Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley help rebuild Sanibel is now available on Amazon. It's the year 2022. Smiley, a retired handyman, had no idea that a hurricane named Ian would bring him back into action as Florida, including beautiful Sanibel Island, suffered from the devastating aftermath. One woman named Jenny, owner of a construction and remodeling business, stepped up to the challenge. The government mobilized forces like the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and local police and sheriff departments for search, rescue, and rebuilding efforts. But Jenny didn't stop there. Leading her own team, she rallied skilled workers, including electricians, plumbers, tile installers, carpenters, painters, and many more. Together, they became the silent heroes of the storm, working tirelessly to repair Jenny's business and the homes of her clients. From darkness and destruction emerged a glimmer of hope, a journey that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. After the Storm, Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley help rebuild Sanibel from author Ken Skelton is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. In the new book from author John Meldum, Pangea, available on Amazon, meet Richard. He's an American who recently embarked on a new life in London. His biggest worry? Surviving and paying his bills on a meager salary. Little did he know, his world was about to change forever. An invasion of unknown alien forces shakes the Earth. It was just the beginning. Drawn into a whirlpool of galactic politics, he finds himself in a web of intrigue where secrets are hidden and betrayal is just a step away. Will he rise to the challenges that lie ahead? Or will his name be forgotten in the annals of history, alongside countless others? Find out when you read Pangea, a science fiction detective novel from author John Meldum, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and transport yourself to a future where humanity's wildest dreams have come true and choices must be made. Pangea from author John Meldum on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So President Trump is on Trump Force One on the way back to New Jersey, and he came out and made a statement, which I'm going to read through some of. But, you know, these lowlives of the media, including Fox News, who have been sucking up to him today for that debate we were talking about earlier, they follow him all the way to the airport from the courthouse. These people in the media, they have spent not a moment taking a break trying to destroy this guy. They don't air his rallies, but they're following him in a car with an image from a dashboard like some YouTuber all the way to the airport, but they won't air his rallies.
I think we can all agree that the media collectively is just pure scum.
Yeah, they are. That's for sure. That's no doubt about it. So let me go through this story. This goes through the statement, and we'll talk about it. Donald Trump said he was being persecuted because he's leading in the polls, and he ripped into the filth and decay in D.C. After he pled not guilty. Yeah, he was talking about the graffiti and how just run down the city is.
It's a metaphor for how the swamp is.
Yeah, well, it's the first time he's driven through the city in a while, and it's gone down the tubes because liberals are running it, and they're pro-criminal. He says, this is President Trump. He said this is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C., and seeing the filth and decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. His loyal aide, Walt, that poor guy, the veteran, who's been charged in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case, held the umbrella over Trump while Trump spoke to the press.
Wow.
Isn't that pretty cool? This is not the place that I left, Trump said. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat them, you persecute them or you prosecute them. We cannot let this happen in America. President Trump faced a federal judge as she read out the 4 charges against him related to the January 6th Capitol riot. That's not true. This is not about that. And it goes on. Now, the sheriff in Atlanta, they've been making a big deal that he says that there will be a mugshot. Let me tell you something. You get a sheriff up against the United States Secret Service, it's a whole nother thing. There is no way that the Secret Service detail around President Trump are going to let some radical sheriff who's running his mouth like this have any control over anything that happens with President Trump. And I'm going to tell you this about these Georgia people. Georgia is run by Democrats, mostly black Democrats, right? And they should be ashamed of themselves because back in the day before Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, white Democrats were persecuting and prosecuting innocent people throughout not just Georgia, but the South. And part of what Martin Luther King's Civil Rights Movement was about was ending the politicization of law enforcement and government. And right now, black Democrats who will tell you that they respect Martin Luther King are disrespecting him. I don't know about the sheriff. I haven't seen the sheriff. I don't know if the sheriff's white or black, but the prosecutor's black.
Yeah,
the prosecutor's black. And it's really it's disgraceful that they are in Georgia. The way they're talking now, they're getting all warmed up. They are talking about persecuting Donald Trump in a way that I thought those days were over in the Democrat-controlled South, but apparently they're not. Now, so far,
it's like a lynching.
Yeah, it is. A lynching is not necessarily with a rope. A lynching is a form of persecution that can take. Tarring and feathering is a lynching. Okay, it takes on many different forms. But this case in D.C., it's a scary one because this is the home turf of the deep state, of the establishment, of the uniparty, and here we are. Where are the Republicans in Congress? Right? Where's the Speaker of the House? They're MIA
as usual.
Yeah,
they're all talk, no action. No action. My mom calls it NATO. No action, talk only.
Yeah,
and that's how they're
not even talking.
They're full of crap, and I can't put it more eloquently. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
Exactly.
They go on TV. They talk a good game. Even Jim Jordan. And all of them. And it's put up or shut up, and they don't do anything about any of this. They're just completely letting this happen, either because they're afraid or because they want it to happen. One of those two things. You have a couple people, Comer and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that's about it, that are willing to speak up, but they can't do it alone. Marjorie Taylor Greene has introduced a lot of things, and they don't nobody doesn't follow it through. She can't do it by herself. She needs approval and people to vote on things and this and that. So there's only so much she can do. But Republicans collectively are a big disappointment, as usual. And I got to tell you, for the first time in my life, if Trump is not on the ballot, I'm either not going to vote or I'm going to go write in his name.
I'm going to write him in.
That's probably what I'll do, but I'm not going to vote for anybody else because I'm sick and tired of these rhinos. And like Cat Turd said, he talked about this on Twitter, and he said, don't tell me that if I don't vote, it's a win for Democrats, because he said, you know what, there's no damn difference.
Yeah.
If I don't vote for them, or if I vote for them, it doesn't make a difference. All they do is get up and talk and have hearings, but when it comes to push to shove, they do jack squat about any of this. They're not in our corner. They're not helping us.
The Republican establishment think that when this is all over, we're stupid and we're going to gravitate back towards them. They're going to go the way of Fox News. There will be a mass exodus like they've never imagined possible.
Well, they still think that Trump. They're waiting this out because they believe that Trump will either quit or he will not be on the ballots.
Yeah.
And I've heard people talk, flipping through the channels today, their fantasy of somebody stepping up and filling that spot when Trump can't be on the ballot. And I think we're going to encourage people to write in Trump's name.
In the primary,
Screw these other guys.
But in the primary, I don't think that's possible. You can do it in the general.
Okay,
every
so
state's
say it's
different.
The primary.
In the primary, we
Florida.
won't be able to vote.
So what do you do? If you have the primary and Trump, we're in Florida.
You can't write in a primary.
Okay, so say they keep Trump off the ballot. I mean, DeSantis runs Florida, so say he is able to do it.
I wouldn't be voting that day.
So what's going to happen? Then he's going to win by default.
You know what I might do?
He'll win it by default, and that's what they're counting on.
If they did that, I'll tell you what
that's a real possibility.
In the primary in Florida, we don't have crossover primaries. You can only vote for the party you're registered in.
Right.
I don't think this is going to happen. But if they were successful in keeping Trump off the primary ballot, I would go down and re-register as a Democrat, and I would vote in the Democrat primary. I'd vote a Democrat because we can't write in. You can't do a write-in in the primary, as far as I know. If we're allowed to do a write-in, I'll write in.
What about
Trump.
Independent? Can't vote in the primary in that.
Independents cannot vote in the primaries. You can only in Florida. It's different in every state.
It's crazy.
I would not vote for Ron DeSantis. I will never vote for Ron DeSantis.
No, but he probably figures they got a scheme going. So I can see them discussing this with Jeb Bush and those cronies. They probably figure if they can keep Trump off the ballot in some of these major states, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, that DeSantis will get it by default, that he'll be the nominee. And then they figure people will vote for you then because you're going to be the only option. So they'll come around, they'll eventually realize this, they'll eventually move on, and they're just, waiting it out. That is their strategy, which is a crappy thing to do, but I think that's their strategy.
Let me retract that. I will not vote for the Democrat.
No, I just
thought
wouldn't
that.
either.
You know what? I'm just a little angry, so I'm not thinking too clearly.
Yeah,
watching Trump.
Know.
And I'll tell you,
I just wouldn't vote for the first time in my life. I just wouldn't vote.
This week, I've been so angry. It's been so hard for me to do these shows this week because I've been in a rage over
and I
what's
know
going on.
You don't like to lose your temper on the radio or on YouTube and stuff, but you've been very more passionate than normal.
It's hard to believe this has happened. I mean, we knew it was coming.
And you get these lunatic callers that call in, and it's like you're talking to people that refuse to see reason. They're so blinded by their hatred, and they just refuse to admit that Biden's a criminal and a crook. They refuse to acknowledge what he's done, and they just hate on Trump no matter what, even though everybody on TV has said that these charges are weak, that there's nothing to them. And I think what's going to happen is I don't think Florida is going to amount to much, but I think the cases in New York and Washington will lead to at least one conviction of something. You can't get a fair trial in those places.
Well, Kathy, the odds...
And I think it's going to go to the Supreme Court.
If you've got 4 criminal trials, the odds of beating 4 criminal trials are against you.
Well, yeah, he's going to have 3 states that are not going to be friendly. 3 jurisdictions, the Georgia, the New York and the D.C.
Well,
the only one he has a hope in is Fort Pierce.
In Florida.
Because that's MAGA country, and the judge is a Trump judge.
Yeah.
So they are throwing everything against the wall, and they figure if we get him charged with 12 or 15 different charges, one of them will stick. One of them, and that's all we need is for him to get charged with something.
That's right.
And that will change public. But Trump even said he will still run even if he is convicted of a crime.
Now,
so good for him. Screw the establishment.
Now, I will tell you this. As rough as these days are, I'm sleeping very well because, we live in a MyPillow home.
True.
And, of course, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. Every time you buy something from MyPillow, you're supporting this program and all the content that I'm connected to, okay? So go to MyPillow.com and buy something. The 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper 2.0 with cooling technology is 40% off and free shipping with our promo code Kane. Kathy and I sleep on that. It's amazing. All the MyPillow mattresses, by the way, are 50% off. 50% off on all MyPillow mattresses, both foam and coil. You could save up to 80% at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane. With that being said, we are out of time for today, but we will be back next time. My name's Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
Brace yourself for an unforgettable journey into the heart of heroism with From Flames to Valor, a firefighter's journey. The new book from professional firefighter, deputy chief, and author Jose L. Barrios. In Flames to Valor, step into the boots of a true hero as you traverse the world of firefighting, a world filled with danger, courage, and sacrifice. Follow along as they face roaring infernos, risking everything to save lives and protect their community. You'll witness the human side of heroism as they navigate through challenges, proving that true valor lies not in bravery, but in resilience. This must-read book will leave you breathless and inspired, reminding you that heroes are not born, but forged through determination and unwavering spirit. From Flames to Valor, a firefighter's journey, from author Jose L. Barrios, is available on Amazon and all major online booksellers. Order your copy today and experience the heart-stopping, heartwarming tale of what it truly means to be a hero. Order your copy right now.